you does intend to ask questions, we can do that. It'll be interesting to ask question and answer more than give a gyan on. So the first question is, what are the top 3 challenges for scaling up from national to global domain structural, process control, organization, personality? I would, this is asked by Anda, right? I mean, I think scaling to international is the second step. I personally feel not only business governance, I think we lack in structuring the company, right? So if you do intend to go global, you probably have to structure your India firm way organized way, especially it will not run on you, right? So we'll have multiple leadership. How is it set up? That you have profit sharing? Do you have shareholding pattern in the company? So it's actually a little bigger question than just for me to answer in a minute. If you do intend to take your firm globally in 4 or 5 countries, every country has their own laws, how you set up a firm. Somebody has to run it there. You are not going to run it from here. How all that happens is a little longer subject, maybe in a one-to-one subject. One day somebody really wants to do it. We have opened office in the Middle East before. All that is nice, but if there's no person to lead that, organization has no meaning. So structuring what your ethos of your business is first, and then trying to mimic that ethos every other country you go, with the right people, if you can engage, with the right monies, you can pay them. It's a very, very tedious process. I know today funds are available, people are here to invest, but there's no free money in the world. If somebody's investing, he wants returns, which means pressure to make money. So I'm not sure I'm answering the question rightly. I'm probably confusing the answer, but I think it can be done. But it's like if your backbone is set up right, then the possibility of expanding globally or into multiple continents or multiple cities. Forget multiple cities is not even easy, right? So doing that will help you. I'm not sure if I answered it properly or not, but that's that. I think the next question, Raksha, what inspired you to move from practicing architecture to starting your own business? To be very frank, I am not a very old entrepreneur. I moved from US in 2008 as a partner to a firm here called KGD Architecture. And it was not founded by me. I joined the firm as a director and owner, part owner. And I learned that it was fun for me. My only requirement as an architect was that I like to do large scale jobs, right? So I think that firm allowed me to do that. And my partner, and we sold the company in 2018. And then I founded this firm, Studio Masons, in another firm called Knowledge Squirrel. Because I was old enough, I had some money in my pocket, I had some risk-taking appetite, and hence I did it. As a young professional, I didn't open a firm. I worked in corporate America till 2008, so maybe 13, 14 years of my professional life, I worked in corporate America. And that helped me understand that that is possible in India, and we did establish that kind of firm in India and then moved on, selling them. And now I do design build in this firm and a consulting Knowledge Squirrel in another firm, and I'm an investor in a couple of engineering firms, MEP engineering firms. I'm sure I'm trying to answer the question. What's one myth about architecture or entrepreneurship that one wish people would stop believing? Every architect I know, senior architect who has practiced, has his own practice or worked with somebody for long, somehow feels shortchanged in the business world. I mean, every architect I meet today think they could have done better as a business, but somehow the environment around them has cheated them or not let them grow, which I think is a myth. We have only messed with our own lives, right? So I think that myth is that if you want to do what you want to do, there's an opportunity as an architect also. But a lot of senior architects feel they were shortchanged to become a true entrepreneur, and they could not because the environment didn't support. I think they didn't support, and they didn't know. It's not that their fault. They just didn't know that the path to doing that, the guidance or education was not driven to do that. That's one myth I can say. And the next question is, what helped you build first few clients and establish credibility? This is a very interesting topic. If you're a young professional, to open the world to business development and new people, I always tell people, work for an organization and leave the organization and do the small work that organization doesn't want to do once you leave. You have to create a supply chain of work to you, right? So either you are blessed to have some level of nepotism in your life where your family can help you get projects, or otherwise the firms you've worked and they are big enough now, they don't want small clients. you have built some relationship with them. The small jobs you take, you open some channels. I think the idea is anywhere you go, don't shy out to open a channel. You may not like it, the project type or not, but open the channel, have a discussion. There's nothing to say, I don't do this or do this till you, once you don't like it, you don't do it. But do not close the channel so fast in communication anywhere. But if you're a young professional, the first few projects you'll get is because your family knows somebody, to be very, very frank. If you're, or you have worked in a firm and you have established some relationship with them. And when you leave, small jobs come to you. Social media and all, right now, some residential jobs can come through social media because there's a lot of noise about that. But beyond that, not much. Sorry, I'm kind of skipping this so many questions. How do you decide a new project is worth the risk is a very good question, because there's no checklist for that, right? You have to gauge the client. You have to understand if the client has a paying capacity. How is that gauge, I think, comes with little experience, and maybe once you burn 2-3 times, it comes faster. So if you burn a few times, it should start coming you that this client is a bullshitter. He's just gonna, or she's gonna just take me for a ride, and I'll not get paid on time, or the workload will be way higher than I do get paid. Contractually, you can write whatever. If the client is the client, in India, contracts hold very limited value. So I think that is gauging how it's happening, in my opinion. What skills outside of design do you think architects must learn? People skill. What to do? There's no choice. I mean, you're selling, like it or not, even if it's the best design you have done, you have to convince the client that this is the best for you also. So if your people skill and empathy about the client is not there, empathy with the client is not there, you will suffer. Don't be egoistic designer. I feel you should listen to the client and try to align to the client, or at least speak their language so they understand better what you're trying to design for them. What challenges do you face with cash flow or finances when starting a studio? This is a simple, cash flow is the challenge. Architecture, any practice you see, 1 year experience or 30 years experience, cash flow is the problem, because client doesn't pay you on time, you are paying salaries on time, and how to manage that is that's a subject by itself we should discuss. So if you have a reasonably large practice, even 10-20 people, do have some projects which pay on time, do have some projects which are not worth portfolio, so to say, but worth the monies, right? So you can choose that I do this for bread and butter and I do this for my passion. And there are so many jobs I've done in my life where I never put in portfolio, but they paid the bills and nobody talked about it. So I think that can help you manage cash flow. But cash flow management is looking back, what is the most valuable lesson you learned from business, brand, and risk? I don't know if there's one lesson I've learned. The lesson I've learned is the faster you understand what you're getting into, better for you. The faster you can understand the client, the project type, the monies associated with that, it's better for you. It manages your business, brand. So like say, I've done projects which are not brand worthy, but they are good to pay bills. So you define what you're doing it for, right? You understand what you're doing it for rather than just do it for the sake. And some jobs you take which are very, very fancy, very, very award-winning jobs you can do, then make peace with it that it may not pay you your bills. And it's okay if I'm taking risk for that, but I'm building a brand with that project, but not monies. So every time you take those calls, you'll become smarter in choosing project types, right? How do you handle business situations where your design vision doesn't align with business limitations? That will be a challenge anywhere. I mean, I think your design vision, see, I truly believe that design is to be driven by the client's need. They're not very educated, so you can educate them what should be the design direction. But if their fundamental needs are not met, the project is a failure, even if it's the greatest looking building. So if you run a business of architecture, you will take calls which may not be, you will logically think that, oh, I shouldn't have. Like, I'll give an example. You may drop a project because it's the greatest project. You have lack of bandwidth and the fee is very less, but it may be great for your portfolio. So you may choose not to do it. It's a very difficult decision to do that. But so you are thinking from the business perspective and saying, I know I don't want this job, although it's a great job to have in my portfolio, I will love to do it. I am already engaged with my 10 people doing this. The fee for this is anyhow not worth it. So we've taken a very practical call on a very emotional practice, right? So that is what you can do, I think. That I think I like the Paresh's question. Should an architect plan for an exit strategy? That is, I think, Paresh, you and I should sit down and discuss it. Architecture practices are not worth selling. Nobody will buy you. That's the biggest problem. We were one of the few sold because we are not only architecture practice, we created a brand of architectural engineering, landscaping, everything together. We built the firm to sell. Uh, and that was my founders and our vision. And that was when we conceived the firm. So you have to drop your ego, you have to build talent, you have to build things which are worth buying. If you're see, just imagine there's no exit strategy for an architecture practice because you are selling, and if you are the brand, you are exiting. So what am I buying? So that's why I say I think it goes back to what I said in branding. If you build the brand of the firm, that there's a there are 4 other leaders who are vertical heads. There's a cultural setup in the organization who this, then it's worth selling. In India, architecture firms have never been sold, never been exited. Either they're legacy firms where the kids take over, or principally they shut after the principal retires, right? It's very sad, but that's the reality. Today, internationally, there's so many architectural firms which have been bought out because they've set up a system, not an individual-based system. It's a multi-tier system in the firm where it's worth buying as a synchronized system, right? So I think exit strategy would be, first strategy will be don't make the firm about you. Because you will sell, you will exit, what is the person going to buy? If you are the only person he's buying, then zero value of the firm. As a young professional, can we start building a personal brand that stands out? See, that's something, that's your choice. You can stand building a brand as an individual, but I'm always the kind of guy who wants to know, why do you want to do that? First, define the purpose of building a brand, then do that. If the brand building helps you on certain things, then do in that direction only, right? That's my, I mean, should an architect raise private equity? Who will give you private equity and why is the question to ask. And nobody gives free money. So there are investors who have invested in architecture firms. I know a few of my friends are like that, but they're strategic investors, not private equity. Not majority are not private equity. They're strategic investors. Like say I'm a vendor of some things which belongs to the architecture fraternity. I bought an architecture practice or invested in architecture practice. They're helping me spec my products into the market. It is helping my business. Pure private equity, I'm not sure, because private equity has a simple rule. I want to exit in 5 years, maximum 7 years, hopefully get 8 times, 7 times the value of the firm. So somebody has to buy you, right? So who's going to buy you? It's an Excel-based approach. It's not about the business-based approach. So I don't know, architecture can raise private equity and do anything about it. Strategic investors can come in to use the practice for their benefit. A lot of that could be a developer, could be a builder, could be a vendor, could be materials supplier. They all can probably have stakes in firms to help their business grow because architects are the influencers of a lot of building material and building industry, right? I think the technology, I think everybody's scared of AI or all that. I think we are using, I know my friends are using, we are not using. They give a reference image and a plan is given and the renters come out with lighting and everything. So I think architecture product, which is the design, will become a byproduct of the firm, which means that maybe the strength of people in the firm will be limited. But understanding the client, see, I was saying, your psychology major with the client and understanding what they want from you, that download still needs a human intervention. And when I say that, let's say, I'm going to give you a very humble example of a house, right? Your client brief, maybe I need 3 bedrooms with 3 bathrooms and a living and a gathering room and all that. But that's a very pragmatic download from the client of the program. It doesn't still tell you how they operate. In 3 bedrooms, who sleeps where and what is the emotional connect, if the kid needs to be next to the parents' room or not, or the noise is too much in that room. So there are too many other parameters which are at a human level interaction. I think the download of those and understanding client and making them comfortable with the architects and function more and more than actually doing the real touch and feel work of designing and all, because that will start happening automatically in some sense if the understanding of the architect is quite up running with the client's need, I think. And so that technology will definitely do that, and the need of production of drawings and production of renders and production of presentations to that level will come down drastically, I feel. Was there a moment in college or early in your career that pushed you forward? No, I am not an entrepreneur, actually, to be very frank. I am by mindset, I'm a very middle class man who grew up. My father was in the army, my mother was a dentist, and nobody in my family has done business. So that's why probably I was more risk averse. Maybe my conversation sounds also a little risk averse, right? Because I am like that. So I've identified what I am, right? So I think that the question is to identify yourself. And I think I did it reasonably well to identify what I am and what to do when. That's my probably success. What inspired you to start your own architecture firm, and what does success mean to you personally and professionally? It's a great question. The problem of the success is a very, very interesting word, because usually in the typical construct, success is what people perceive of you. And I think that's the saddest part of success. In real way, I had a 320 people firm when we exited, right? So I was very well known. I was invited to all conferences. Everybody knew, but we sold the company and I started. Now we have 55 employees in the company. We do design build. I'm less known. I'm also a contractor. My egos are lower, but I'm more happier and I feel I'm more successful. I have time in hand. If I go, as I said, if I go to Bahamas, my firm runs without me because my face is not what sells. The process of this business sells. I don't need to be around to make money. I can be sitting anywhere and my bank will hit some money monthly. So I think my success is that I have time for myself, I have time for my family, and I'm still doing business and taking some money home. For me, that's success. That may be different for everybody else, but that's success for me. I think that's probably that question. I'm exploring a stakeholding pattern for my new architecture studio with the CA, CS, a builder, etc. as stakeholder. Do you think it's worth going forward? All partners will get to work. I think strategic. This is a good question. I think having a strategic partner and understand how you piggyback growth with each other. If you can understand that, that kind of investment is great. I think so. So let's say, I think you written that you're exploring with a developer, right? A builder, right? Same thing. So I think the builder may want to invest in you because he wants to use you for his projects, right? Great. But it should not be claustrophobic that you have to only do his project. So that how you structure that whole investment should give you the freedom to become what you are and probably grow with the investors coming in. And investor feels that he's benefiting, that he's getting controlled design from you at a reasonable price as a company, right? So I think that you have to feel out that am I both sides going to win-win? I think that is very important. Many students feel architecture doesn't pay well compared to effort required. How can the standards changes? It's not a perception, it's reality. Architects don't get paid well. Let's be real, let's not fake it. Anybody who works for a firm is not after a 5-year degree doesn't get paid as a BCom graduate. That's reality. So as you graduate and as the time goes up, you can choose. The greatness of architecture is you can become very rich with it if you choose to take certain directions, but directions are your directions. It's not industry direction. If I am a computer science engineer, I know my growth pattern. If I go to these MNCs, I'm a recruiter from college, there's certain growth patterns which are driven by the industry itself. You don't have to choose. Architects have to choose to do that. They can't move in a preset direction for growth like engineers can, or maybe MBAs can, right? So that's the reality. But there are opportunities where you can grow tremendously, but you have to start choosing very young what you have to. What helped you build your brand when you were just getting started? I think brand is just doing right work and letting people know what you're doing. And after a few years, it starts showing up. There's obviously today the noise in this. You can be associated with groups which are you can get selected from competitions. There's so many ways you can be shortlisted as one of the projects which is or listed as a company which is doing well. There's a lot of PR effort which can help to build brand. Some is very superficial, some is very real, mostly superficial, but it helps to sell. So there are ways of doing that to build that. I mean, it's through vendor management, is through PR, social media management, all that you can do some of those brand building. But then you have to live up to it also, because brand can build very fast and drop very fast also. That's the challenge in our industry.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ajay Gupta, for sharing your time, insights, and experience with us today. Your journey from architect to entrepreneur has truly inspired us, and the lessons you shared on business branding and risk are incredibly valuable. We really appreciate the clarity, honesty, and depth you brought to this session. So, on behalf of the entire team, thank you once again for joining us and making today's event so inspectful.
I hope it was useful to some. Thank you for having me, and I hope I could probably trigger some more questions in their head when they come back. What's the last question? Want to get in touch with me? My number, you can get, Kumkum, you have my number, no? You can share the number in the group if you, I don't know if I can type it. I think she has my number. Anybody wants to talk to me and see what is going on, I'm happy. I said I do consult with architectural firms and other firms as an advisor. And if anybody wants to do that, fair enough. Great. I think, am I free to go, Kumkum, then?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Kumkum, for organizing this and helping out in the whole.
No problem.
Thank you. Thank you.